Hey guys, Richard from Digital Foundry here, and I'm looking at GeForce Now, the cloud streaming system from Nvidia. Now, the idea behind these systems, PlayStation Now is another, is pretty straightforward. Games are hosted on servers somewhere on the internet, and you stream gameplay video in much the same way that you stream Netflix or YouTube. But obviously it's gaming, so it's a lot more complicated. Gaming video is a lot more complex to encode and indeed decode with decent image quality, while your control inputs need to be beamed across the internet to the server, processed and then sent back to you, and that means lag. OnLive was the first to have a go at it, and to be frank, it wasn't particularly good. Image quality was pretty horrible on intensive action games, and lag could be anything up to 300 milliseconds, a third of a second. Put simply, GeForce Now is a generational improvement. So let's talk about image quality first of all. Nvidia's servers have much more advanced H.264 encoders built directly into the GPU, meaning it can preserve more image quality than OnLive could at the same levels of bandwidth. Secondly, some years have passed since OnLive launched. Internet infrastructure has improved. Fibre optic connections are commonplace. So GeForce Now looks good because not only does it have an improved encoding setup, there's also much higher levels of bandwidth available. I'm playing here on the 1080p 60 configuration and I'm using around 25 megabits per second. So that's around 2.25x the resolution of OnLive, and I'm using around 5 times the bandwidth. Next up, lag. Okay, so there's a reason why we're playing these games at 60 FPS. The faster a game runs, the faster it processes input. A good 60 FPS game has an end-to-end latency of around 50 to 60 milliseconds. Now a 30 FPS game, similar to what you see on console, can be anything from 100 milliseconds to 133 milliseconds. So the cloud strategy is pretty straightforward then. Run the games at 60 but aim for a 30 FPS style console response, using the 50 to 80 millisecond difference to encode the video, transmit it across the internet and decode it on your device. This strategy works out pretty well for GeForce Now. Games like Strider and Trine 3 actually work really well. We've got some Ultra Street Fighter 4 footage here, and combos, special moves, well, everything just seems to work. Also check out Borderlands. I found that playing first-person games like Battlefield 4 on PS4 Remote Play is actually quite difficult owing to the lag, even on a completely wired connection. Yet I still had little issue at all playing a fast first-person shooter like Borderlands on GeForce Now. So are there any negative points to the experience so far? Well, there are occasional hitches in several of the games we played, something that may well be down to our connection, or not, it's difficult to tell really. On top of that, it seems that not every game is properly optimised, so take Batman Arkham City for example. Clearly we're hitting some kind of performance bottleneck here with frame rates well below the target 60 FPS in some scenes, and this produces noticeable judder. Probably the worst experience we had was with The Witcher 3 though. It seems that Nvidia is targeting 30 FPS here, not 60, and that's probably not so surprising bearing in mind how intense the visuals are and how much of a hit they must incur on the cloud server GPUs. The problem here is that frame pacing is poor. Check out the frame time graph to see how response varies quite dramatically between 60 to 50 milliseconds, sometimes a bit higher. And on top of that, latency suffers as a result too. The issue we have is that you pay full price for The Witcher 3, and in fact you're paying a monthly subscription on top of that too. So with so many 60 FPS titles, spending top dollar to get a compromised 30 FPS experience on a game you've paid full price for just doesn't really cut it for us. At least you get a digital code for the full PC version included when you buy the cloud game, but probably the biggest shame here is that what should be the showcase for GeForce Now actually casts some doubt on the quality of the overall service. That said, as a technological statement, GeForce Now is highly impressive. We've been pretty skeptical of cloud gaming in the past, and there's definitely the sense that OnLive poisoned the well, putting people off cloud gaming with its suboptimal experience. But GeForce Now is a second generation product. It does actually work, and it does produce a decent experience overall. But we can only really judge it based on our own connection, of course. If you've tried it, feel free to tell us about it in the comments, but for now that's all we have. Make our day by giving us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to Digital Foundry for more PC and console tech analysis. Thanks for watching.